shop at Crozier Tech High in Dallas. I made a small tie rack of black walnut that I shaped and sanded and then rubbed with shellac and linseed oil for many days, in and out of shop time and in study hall time. The mixture was 50-50 of orange shellac and linseed oil that was kept in an old Coke bottle of orange shellac in linseed oil with a rubbing rag stuck in the top. And each free moment, as with rosary beads, my fingers would rub and polish just a little bit at a time until the moisture was worn from the rag stopper. And then I would wet it again, rubbing until dry again. Relationships may be that way, made, rubbed, realized. In further life, the projects require larger plans and efforts. That was Reunion. And the next one, that was something new with sort of a biographical background. And the next one is one it's a short lyric that I've worked on. Again, Going Home. Amanda was a fish seller from Kirtaminda. She loved a sailor and he loved her, and they were happy together. But she went to Copenhagen, and there she met students, medical students, and she fell into troubles. And so she could never go home again to Kirtaminda. That's all I have. Thank you.
And now to give Dawn a round of applause, it'll be our mini feature for the evening. For Bob, Felicia, and Casey.
First one's called Seeing Bears. You should have been in the mountains with me, seen the butterfly drop in full sun to the bear's shoulder. Through my glasses, seen the great beast braced her thorny feet and legs against the earth to receive such a delicate load. You should have been with me in the mountains, borrowed my glasses to take a look at the wilderness the way it is, when a pair of cubs are dancing in their own currents, riding the forest through the sky, snipping while butterflies visit their mama.
Yeah.
This is for Carlos, H.D. Moe, Steve Mack, who else? Kay Hill, and Surrey Witt.
Yeah.
Requiem. Think of us when you have gone to melt among the suns, breathe the cold vacuum at the speed of light through everything that is dark. We will still be here, struggling against gravity, against high crimes and misdemeanors. But we will think often of you, preparing a time for us, squeezing up against the ancestors. There must be so many now, or are they all become one? These are things we wonder, missing you, worrying about ourselves as though we had a future to dread other than melting with you among ancestors and sons somewhere in a strange time. Oh, that 10 minutes, right? That time is over. Dog Heaven. I like animal stuff. The dog loves a walk in the cemetery, chasing ravens across golf green lawns, and doesn't mind peeing on the graves of strangers. Neither do the strangers complain from where they lie, tucked into sealed coffins far too deep to be disturbed by an ounce or two of penetrating excrement. At least, we heard no objections from above where the souls purportedly fly among the crows over downy lawn knolls and rows of headstones. Unless the jabber of excitable crows be interpreted as voices of the dead, scolding a sniffing terrier's uncouth habit of marking human passage back into the earth. So I thought, and mentioned to the dog, that perhaps one reason the human soul decides to seek refuge in heaven is to avoid becoming a target of random urination. My doggie at once turned her back on that theory and ran away to play with the roots.
That's the first funny cemetery poem I've ever heard. Great.
The House of Oolong. In the land of honey and 4 kinds of milk, a man on the sidewalk stares through the window of the House of Oolong. Between sips of tea, I stare back at lips discernibly mobile, a face roughly shaven, eyebrows in a knot. Is he rehearsing a panhandle line, composing a prayer to an overwrought God, just as likely talking to himself? On this side of the Oolong window, half and half puddles at the foot of a black pot. Honey waits to be squeezed from plastic bears. Out there, the noiseless motion of a stranger's lips create words behind vague eyes by the thump of a heart, pumping blood-borne precursors of speech through a capillary net deep beneath his shaggy hair and stocking cap, flowing into consonants and vowels together like the drip of honey and milk at the tip of a tongue, as the man's mental molecules become words in ways I can't imagine. But whatever he might have to say, perhaps brilliant or absurd or both, remains unheard. His speech stalls in arrested flight against the outside Oolong glass. On my table, a fly struggles to escape the grip of a honey bear. Get down to it.
Yeah.
Get down to soaking your feet in a clean stream of water if you can find one. Down to the disappearing needs of your sore feet, your punished heart, what's left of your mind, because you know it's all flowing one way and you are not the great divide. So get down to walking on the sidewalk, feeling the concrete, down to that. There's not much else going to matter when the time comes, and you know it's coming. Not because it always does, just in the ominous way you feel it. Get down to getting all the money you can if you think that will help. Down to it. Only your brain doing the thinking. Nobody can help you with thinking unless you find a way to listen, and a lot of listeners. So get on down to hard walking, feet soaking, money acquisition. If you feel the need to hope, maybe you can pay somebody to clean the air, rescue the children. Try hoping for that. But when hope gets away from you, a slippery fish, especially in polluted waters, here's what they'll say. Get down to pray on your knees, the American way, maybe in front of the TV. Send some money to the silver-haired white man smiling on the screen, capped teeth. He'll tell you his post office box number, send you literature. But don't count on him to clean the water or rescue the children. So this is called consilience. I'm not going to try to find that word. Google it if you want. Okay, consilience. Affairs in order, a world of silk raw, worms working the trees, a spearhead of geese winging in a winter sky, honking south. They'll raise hatchlings. Trucks and cars on a slow motion overpass, crawling, coughing, making us sick, preparing to die. Mothers enslaved, heavy-breasted, arms enclosing children, angry, hungry, whispering. Television flickers, brains flicker, eyes strain in darkened rooms, comedians joke about the desperate. Congo apocalypse, fat fly in a baby's eye, dying of a bloated belly. Oh well, change the channel. What's wrong with those people in order of suffering, crowded into the masses, starving? The price of CEOs, Air Jordans, Walmart happy faces. Emigration is immigration. Latinos rebuild New Orleans for the rich. evacuated gangsters moving in on the Houston drug trade, affairs arranged in order of means of production, bloated belly commodities, a spearhead of slavery winging 4 directions in every sky, crying out, migrating slaves will raise their young, who will bring about their own revolution. Last one. This is a poem I wrote 15 years ago, right after the event. So I have New star. Bleed, she said in a voice that darted from a shadow behind her eyes. A voice that ran for cover in some dim, suspicious corner of my mind. The way a prowling rat startled by a kitchen light might seek safety behind the refrigerator. You have a bleed, she said, with a professional tug at her lapel, a sigh and a shrug, her stethoscope at her breast, a fallen toss of beige hair across her forehead. It showed up on the MRI, she said. Her voice now made a nest just beneath my breast. A concealed varmint behind a cabinet wall settled in for the season to rear its young in the dark. B as in bloody, L as in leap, E as in the sound of a scream, D as in most people die. She was teaching me a new language. I felt small, cross-legged, innocent, propped upon a plush carpet with pillows in front of a TV, listening to Big Bird with eyeshadow and a stethoscope, teaching me my MRIs, my bleed, a breached capillary, a tiny trickle into forbidden territory, a traveling microscopic stream dribbling down neuron pathways, the foreboding traces of a flash flood on the way. Blood had found a path from an aneurysm into my brain. Since I had a bleed and she had an ambulance, we took a cross-town ride for a chat with a surgeon about subarachnoid hemorrhaging. Beneath the spider legs formed by the seam lines of the human skull, watch the light, stand on one foot, touch the tip of your nose without poking yourself in the eye. This could be a DUI. Me bent over the hood of a car, cuffed, but it's not. It's my aneurysm. My skull is a spider with my brain in her belly, nesting among inherited synapses, defending her young, bristling at all interference, defying the invasion of scalpel, drill, and saw. The surgeon explores uncertainties with my family, mentions the absence of guarantees, outlines certain risks, paralysis in varying degrees, and death, of course, and the vegetable thing. My wife and children, exhausted by explanation, confronted by love's sublime impotence, touch me with strong fingers, watch me with tight jaws, rotate out of my room and turn, do not weep in my presence. A man of no religion, I submit nonetheless to the will of Allah. A few weeks later, I hear the morning yawn. It's fresh mouth raining in the light well at home. I turn over in my nest, troubled by a dream, quiet as water lying in the street, disturbed by a rumbling truck planing the puddles, a dolphin lost in the dark. I touch the scar curled against my skull, a serpent at rest, barely breathing, content and comfortable in its new home. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Bob, Felicia, then Casey, the close. Give them a nice round welcome. Bob's going to take care of these prizes. Marlene Dietrich said she couldn't make it. I'm sorry. Is that good?
Yeah. All right, so I was out working in Nevada. I wasn't able to come to the memorial for H.D. Moe, but I have a few poems I want to read that, you know, it's just words I already had that kind of came up right, you know. These are both for H.D. Moe. This is Mystical Caliber Hand Gum. Rotten cotton candy aura flora, artificial wallflowers falling fallow, intense, immense magnitude, whiskey barrel solitude, startling, psychedelic snickering, sucker punch up from the street in your face. A few hooks to the heart, then upper crust uppercuts staring down your nose. Silly putty facials send saucer flying message, tandem tantrum, or free-for-all travail available. Conflict spiraling outer space, convict wrapping rap sheet, mummy dummy papier-mâché delicado, covering cowering band-aid bandwagon climax. Penny anti-romance receiving finest gifts, but sneak a peek, why not? Take a gander through streaks of lightning-greased geese. Paisley breath, cherish wild-mouth ecstasy. This is the electric halo triumph. In love she fell with falling leaves, encircling suns, sleep surfing cerulean syllables, free breeze soliloquies. A wince askance through smoke-colored mirrors, gazed, amazed, a ghost, aghast, erased at last, fled a flood, a dream funnel drowning. Eschewing ochre's octaves, unfolding askew, elastic optics excellence, ascending anew, harpsichord Halloween delirium, emanating ululating aborigines, stabbing rusty forks at fires, emulating marionettes masquerade, parading charades, escapades, arise, writhing, alive, and finally lapse into consciousness. This one I started 40 years ago. I'm not sure it's finished yet. This is Working Man's Tao. Dull the blade, dim the lamp, round the corner, take the long way home. The only test is passing yourself. And don't forget to feed the animal.
My friend Rob, thank you. Now we have Alicia and then Casey to close it for these fine prizes that are distributed with your mind in mind. Give her a nice round of applause.
I don't usually do poetry, but
We make an exception for her.
yeah. Okay. Hold on, that's not good enough. Oh, it's good. None of these have titles. This is one. If I ever tried slow motion playback, slow like honey, but that was the only similarity to honey that he had. Hilarious to toss aside of such a rarity. Take care, at ease, find peace, release the side effects more harmful than the disease. We resist resisting, never. Insist petitions and screaming mean anything, but dreaming about succeeding is breeding impatience. The needy reading too deeply, reading too deeply, simple structure defeating. Cease fire. Cease fire. Situation hasty, dire situations, never able to retire, never acquired. I don't want to die this way. I don't want to die. I don't want to die this way. I don't want to die this way. I don't want to die. Just one more thing I have to do. One more hung cross splintering. Draw back. Draw blood. Release no arrow. I am just a bow, an instrument of destruction that is nothing without you. This is two. Peace does not mean pacifism. Love does not mean approval. Heaven, I suppose, is without conditions. No need for want, for forgiveness. Passion might not be as simple as desire. Impulse not as complicated as instinct. Our history has yet to be written. Who's holding the pen that once was mightier than the sword? Swordsmen or writers? Sorry. redundant, succumbing to this orbit. Gravity's pull, magnetically magic. Blushing young nothings are lined up for shooting practice. Here you are, pop. Here you are, bang. Here you are, bang, bang, bang. If I was what I will be now, I would become something greater than this. Teetering oddly suspended by long strings of anticipation, plucked melodically, the song lulling me into chaotic resonance only for the answer. Only the answer will bring the crescendo. Only the truth will vibrate my heart out of my chest, dancing across the floor to meet you. I'd like to believe I'm being saved for something special. I'd like to believe my inability to drown in this mainstream only means I live in an oasis and not a mirage. A different animal. My love has a warm climate and a blue sky that turns to roses and lavender to cool the setting sun. Resting, blanketing this place, a royal blue caressed by stars adorning vision with sparkling love. I'm rich with this love bountiful, abundant. And then, thank you. And then the last one. We are so restless, all-encompassing. One day the world will be lost, but not by me. Eventually we all end the light darkness with the Eventually we all end. Light the darkness with your obsession. Passionately you move an unstoppable force. I'm a vacation to reality. Droogs and derelicts unsettled, and the philanthropist on the corner wants to know if I'm a tramp. Well, dear old man, the curves of your concern are reminders of mountains I have yet to climb. Everyone wants to do this, but if you really wanted to, you would be here with me. My passenger, relaxed and still hungry. Hungry enough. The famine is a metaphor, and we are wasting time. The feast is real, and now here in this body is all I have. Desire is a topic worth discussing. Love is carnal, and these animals don't need cages. They lay in the corners contemplating the wild, wish for fortune to bat a long lash and wink. A signal to slip them a key, to free them from this, whatever this is, morality or authority. Whoever told you to be afraid is afraid of you.
Casey, thank you. And now, Casey, the closer. And then we'll take care of these fabulous prizes. Very nice warm round of applause, please.
I feel like I'm gonna okay, it's not.
You're taller than me.
I'm not electric apparently. I don't know, I feel like
What are you going to charge out if you don't know why?
I know, it sounds like a tattoo gun, you know? Like if you're up here, it's gonna paint words onto your mouth and then you're gonna speak them. I don't know. That would suck. Okay, so this poem, I guess I'm gonna explain this poem before I read it. Because sometimes people don't understand what I'm talking about unless they've had children. I haven't had children, but I was a child once. Crazy. So I was a cord baby when I was born, if anybody knows what that is. So basically, this poem is about that, and I think it's kind of just like a hilarious metaphor for how I feel about writing. It's called Blue. I was suffocating. Choking on the very thing sustaining me all those months of personal growth. I came out blue. A science class coloring book of blood coming back to the heart. I'm always coming back to the heart. Back to the watchful fingers of that monitor in the hospital hallway. Please, tell me my drum's still beating. Tell me I've still got one more burst left to spit out. Understand why it seems like I've known sadness since before I was actually old. I was born blue. Severed from my mother's sustenance before I ever told her I hated her. Coddled by strangers before I tried to fill voids with them. Their hands, my first loving touch. Their masks, a sterile version of safety. Before I knew that middle school bullies and asphyxiation feel exactly the same. I wanted to leave a body that was born correct and gifted and already dying. I was suffocating, so ask me why I write poems. Ask me why I would give my soul to open my throat and have a chance at life fall out. Why I feel exhales stronger than skin. Why I so easily call acquaintances family. Why I hear a cough in a quiet room and ask whose hands are held closed around your story. Does the burning there sometimes feel like salvation? Are the cords that stifle your screams the same one leading to your microphone? Do you relish in pulling them closer? Is your face in the mirror sometimes extraterrestrial? Like the very first audience you cried for, baby, are you blue? Do you suffocate on the lifelines that dragged you from the womb, and are you still fighting for that space to breathe easy? By kicking and screaming and hacking at the bubbles we produce underwater, the only place where our blues can truly be read and understood as the cause of a will to survive. I have one more. Not funny. This actually happened, by the way, like crazy story. I don't know. Weird shit. Living in the East Bay. It's called the flea market. If anyone's ever been to the Ashby flea market, you will understand this. Okay. She asked me if I'd like to get married at the flea market. I would, if only it weren't so hard to find what you want in a place like this. Discarded shoes that are never your size. Jewelry that is way too expensive, but it's handmade out of beeswax, it's copper. It's looking for a neck that does not like to be tinted by aluminum, and you are looking for something you can afford to take home here. They tell you it's cheaper if you're selling. If you're one of those people that have too much to give because you're only as cheap as your lifestyle, you don't need much to survive. Just a couple of dollars, maybe you will get some damaged goods. I would get married at the flea market, or the pulga, as my mother likes to call it. My mother, who has splurged on more than enough mosquitoes, I will probably find another moth, drawn to streetlights like their son, and we will fuck dirty on the mothballs, barter like pirates, and steal time when no one is looking. That's all any of us really have anyways. Maybe $50, and lots of time. In the parking lot, I found 2 turkeys that wandered down from the Berkeley Hills to gobble up their daily share of humanity. People are taking pictures of them like today they are walking down the aisles shopping for forever. Because those that are truly in love came from somewhere else besides here. The eucalyptus grove where they watched Bears games, found themselves rooting for the same team, cringing when the cannon went off. Touchdown. They knew it was meant to be. When they realized they are only birds that cannot fly, surrounded by people that think love is the bug on the windshield of a moving van or can be bought with anything less than a loud, concrete eternity in the middle of intersecting roads. Thank you.
All right. This brings us to the closing and exciting part of the evening.
And if you signed in, you noticed that your name was next to a number, and these cards have numbers on them. So I'm carefully shuffling these cards. I've been shuffling for a while over there. People say I shouldn't do that, but I do that anyway. Then I hand them to someone who cuts them, so they're completely randomized. Of course, he's not telling you that he's a card shark, but it's never.
So so just to remind you, Taming of the Shrew, Robert Lowell's The Lord Weary's Castle and the Mills of the Kavanaghs, History by Robert Lowell, the mini feature, Ozone Allah by David Moe, Seamus Haney, and a portrait picture of Stephen Mack, who is up there now in a better picture, but this picture is now being distributed to those people there. So a drum roll. Cesar, but he left. I saw him. Oh well. He could have been a winner. Ed McHugh.
He just left.
That's so disappointing.
And so Owen Dunkel, he is here. We know that. I was trying to figure out who takes what, but you know how that goes. And then another drum roll, please. We got the other contenders here. Thank you.
Casey,
Oh, cool.
you are the winner of the evening.
Awesome.
You may take one of these any one of these fine prizes are yours. They're designed with your mind in mind. This is the mini feature case you want to come out. There was a nice second half mini feature.
Okay.
You don't have to do any one of those. I know, choices. I should have just said one of the tables to limit the choices.
Okay, I'm gonna have a really hard time right now.
It's okay. I'll set someone else up and
Okay.
then you can get jealous.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Jonathan?
Jonathan.
See, the new people coming is like the college, just like changing
It's not my fault, I didn't do it.
Taming of the shrew. I didn't think he would take that one. I didn't think he